Hello, it is Jack Gill, and welcome back to Anfield Agenda. This is the late night agenda, but with a twist. I'm here at 5 o'clock. It's hardly late night agenda, and obviously, I'm not the bald legend that is Craig Holden. Sorry, he's obviously not available for the next couple of days. He's taken a couple of days break, so you're stuck with me for now, and we've got loads of news to talk about today. But before we get into the news for today's video, I just want to let you know about today's sponsors, who are, of course, Manscaped. And, I'm not going to pretend my ad read will be as good as Craig's, but I'm going to give it a go because I know he absolutely raves about their ball deodorant, which I'm desperate to trial because it sounds absolutely superb. But here you go. Here is the ad read on Manscaped. So today's show is sponsored, of course, by Manscaped. The Performance Package 4.0 has just launched in Europe. It includes the new Lawnmower 4.0, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, which sounds like the best to me, Crop Reviver toner, boxer briefs, and a travel bag. Sounds splendid. Their 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. It's got a 7,000 RPM motor. It's got an on and off switch which can engage a travel lock, and a 4000K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. And of course, it is waterproof. So it just gets better and better, doesn't it? And to get an offer on this, all you need to do is use the code WFM20 on manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping on absolutely anything on their website. So make sure you go and check that out. But yeah, here we go. We're going to get into the news. There's a lot of people I can see in the comments already asking where Craig is. He's just taken a couple of days off. Yeah, there's no need to worry about him. He'll be absolutely fine. He just needs a break. He's done a lot of work recently. He needs a break. And the best thing you can do right now is just, carry on watching Anfield Agenda, and he'll be back as soon as possible, giving you better late night agendas than what I can bring. But nonetheless, I'm going to fill in for him, and we've got loads to talk about today, ladies and gents. So keep giving me comments with your opinions on the news that I'm reading. I'm going to give my opinions on the news. I'm going to read out a lot of your opinions. I'm going to answer any questions that you have, and I'll be here for about 45 minutes to an hour today. So that is the plan. So let me have a look in the comments, see if there's anything interesting so far. Bol McPraven says, is Craig back for the game watch along? He should be. But yeah, we'll see. We'll let you know what's happening. But if not, I'll do it. But yeah, he should be back by then. Fingers crossed. Yep. Let's have a look. But yeah, that's it. So news now. Obviously, we've got some great contract news today. Henderson is set for a new contract. It looks like that's going to be announced at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Loads of people reporting this today. It's been told to me by various different people. I've seen David Ornstein has put out as well. So yeah, 8 o'clock tomorrow, that's going to be announced, and a big relief for us Liverpool supporters. I was horrified to see the news a couple of weeks ago and see that Jordan Henderson may leave us this window. It would have been a catastrophe if that was the case. It really would have. To lose your captain in those kind of circumstances in the same window that we lost Gini Wijnaldum on a free transfer, of course, I think just would have caused loads of problems in the camp. And, for me, in a transfer window where we've not brought too many people in, obviously we'd have had to replace Jordan Henderson, but it would have just been an absolute nightmare. And for me to have his future sorted at this football club is huge, because for Jordan Henderson, it's not just what you get on the pitch, it's what you get off it too. He's such an important player for this football club, and his leadership will be important for many, many more years to come. So yeah, for me, huge news today of that contract, and it looks as well as if there's a Salah one round the corner as well. I've seen Gris Khan, I think it was, report that earlier on, that he's close Let me just double check that it was Grizz Khan. But yeah, I saw him tweet that earlier. But yeah, let me know what you think. Obviously, first of all, spam that like button. Share this as much as you can on all forms of social media. But yeah, let me know what you think about the new Jordan Henderson contract. Was it ever in doubt in your minds? I was slightly worried, as I say, but yeah, absolutely fantastic news as far as I'm concerned, that is. And I'll enjoy that tomorrow when it is officially announced, which I have been told will be at around 8 a.m. in the morning. What else is there to talk about? So yes, Mohamed Salah, will he be next? Let's have a look, double check. Yes, Grizz Khan was the one. He has said Mohamed Salah is close to agreeing a new lucrative deal. Now, this has seemed to be what this window is about, isn't it, for Liverpool Football Club? We've not been too busy in the transfer window. We've not bought loads of players in. Obviously, the only one that we've signed thus far is Ibrahima Konate. We've seen quite a few outgoings, though, of fringe players and players that we had out on loan last season. Gini Wijnaldum, of course, leaving on a free as well. But it's been a summer of contracts for Liverpool. We've got Alisson tied down on a new long-term contract. Trent Alexander-Arnold tied down on a new long-term contract. Fabinho, of course. Van Dijk the other day too. It looks like Henderson's going to be announced tomorrow. And Mohamed Salah around the corner too. And this seems to be what we're doing this window. You know, we're getting important players tied down. We're sorting their futures out at the football club and making sure that if any big club, well, of course, we're the best club in the world. But if any club like your Barças, your Real Madrids, your PSGs, if any of them want any of our players, it's going to take a fat wad of cash to do so. And, you know, for me, none of these players are likely to go anyway, but just tying them down, making sure their futures are at Liverpool Football Club means that we don't have another situation such as the one we had this summer with Gini Wijnaldum, doesn't it? And we're doing it with players who are, in my opinion, more important players for us. And you know, I think Gini Wijnaldum was a hugely important player. You only have to look at his game time and the Jurgen Klopp for that. But in terms of their ability as well, you look at Fabinho, who for me is the best DM in world football. Alisson, the best keeper in world football. Trent, the best right back in world football. You've got Van Dijk, of course, the best centre back in world football. Salah, who's just world class and, you know, one of the best players in the Premier League. Henderson, hugely important for this football club. Yeah, massive deals for us this summer. And yeah, I am really, really, really impressed with the contracts we've sorted this summer. And as I say, Henderson will be announced tomorrow, and Mohamed Salah looks as if he is round the corner. Let me read out anything you have said about this. There's quite a few comments first about Clarkson, so we'll go into that. Leighton Clarkson has joined Blackburn Rovers on loan today. That's been announced, of course. Blackburn are a side that us and, you know, other clubs in the Northwest have dealt with for loan moves quite a lot. We've seen Man City do it quite a lot. Everton have done it in the past too. We know last season they had Harvey Elliott and what a success that was for him under Tony Mowbray's side in the Championship. But yeah, Leighton Clarkson for me is outstanding. He's an incredible footballer. His footballing brain is outstanding. His ability to pick a pass is phenomenal. And for me, he needs, obviously, once he grows a bit, because at the minute he still looks like a 12-year-old kid in terms of his size. But when he gets more physically able, he will be an outstanding player. You know, he reminds me of a Fernandinho sort of player. He's got the passing ability of you know, Trent Alexander-Arnold. I'd say he can really pick a pass. And you know, we've seen before there have been comments from people involved in the Liverpool coaching staff who have spoke very, very highly of Leighton Clarkson, who trains with the first team on a regular basis. And I think some first team football in a league that is obviously very physical, like the Championship, I think it'll be massive for him. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with that move for Leighton Clarkson. And he's a player I really, really rate. He really is. He's one of the youngsters at Liverpool that I have my eye on, because I think that kid's going to go far. I really, really do. So yeah, I will be watching Blackburn Rovers every time they're on the TV this year, because yeah, he is a phenomenal player in my opinion. I'm just trying to find now the comment from Pep Linders on Leighton Clarkson. I remember it was, I think it was last year. when he made his Champions League debut, of course, for Liverpool. This is the quote on him. Pep Linders said, "Leighton sees with his own eyes the constant runs of Sadio and Mo in behind. He has the capacity to play the passes these type of forwards like to receive. He is the type of number 6 we really like, one who can dictate, but dictate with direction, who can speed up the tempo of positional play, and the one who always has time on the ball." Honestly, I'm telling you, that kid is going far. And I know I say this a lot. If you recognise me from before I've been on Anfield Agenda, it's probably from doing academy stuff that obviously I used to do. And yeah, Leighton Clarkson has been a player for the last 2 years that I've had an eye on since he was with Barry Lutis in the under-18s. He has looked outstanding. And, he's risen up to the under-23s. He got his Champions League debut for Liverpool last season. He looked good in the pre-season game I was at on Monday against Osasuna. For me, this is a good move for him, and I'm looking forward to seeing him at Blackburn. Let's have a look at any contracts here. Comments here. Let's have a look. MBAPPE news, says Harry Murphy. MBAPPE news. Well, I sent this to Connor earlier, which is why it's in the title, of course. It's from Anfield Edition, but it's originally from Alexis Bernard, who is a journalist for LE10 Sport, which I believe is a French journalist company. Excuse me. And it says, Liverpool continue to monitor Kylian Mbappe's situation, with Klopp calling the player and his father personally. There is a great relationship between Klopp and the Paris Saint-Germain man. Well, there's 2 possible things for this. The first one would be that we believe it and we say, yep, that's true. Fair play, Liverpool in for Mbappe. We're back on the train, choo-choo and all that. Or the second one, which is probably the more realistic one, where it's absolute bollocks. There's nothing to it whatsoever. It's silly season with transfers. We've hardly signed anyone. And PSG have signed Messi. We'll need to offload players. So let's link Mbappe with Liverpool again. It's probably that, let's be honest. But yeah, it makes a good title. So there we go. And thank you for Alexis Bernard for giving us that. But yeah, it's probably nothing, guys. I've given up on Mbappe. And realistically, I think, well, it's not realistic, is it? But realistically, if anyone wants Mbappe at Liverpool, it's probably not going to happen. Let's be honest. Jared Bowen, Sander Berge, if you want them, they're likely. But Mbappe, nah, sorry, doubt it. Let's have a look. Harvey Cudworth says, have you seen the news of Mbappe next summer for a free? We're seeing that all the time. If he's on a free transfer, he'll end up going to Real Madrid or someone like that who are more willing to pay ridiculous wages, ridiculous agent fees, ridiculous signing on fee. That's how it'll be. So, yeah, and unfortunately, players like that these days tend to follow the money. And I'd love him at Liverpool. I absolutely would. But there's 2, 3, 4 other clubs in the Premier League that will probably offer him more money than we would. And it's as simple as that. Let's have a look. Ranveer says he gave up on Mbappe to Liverpool as well, to be honest. Let's have a look. Anything else? Jake Menz said thoughts on Mohamed Salah. He's just incredible, isn't he? I thought his performance against Norwich at the weekend was top draw. Everyone keeps trying to think that next season will be the season where he won't do as good. Next season will be the one where he has a patch where he struggles to score and teams work him out because he's one-dimensional and a system player. But he's just that 5-season wonder now, isn't he? That continues proving people wrong and continues breaking records. The first player to score on 5 consecutive opening days. Wow. He's just world class, and hopefully we do confirm that new contract for him. Mr. Jury says, Jackie boy, how are you, lads? I am very good, thank you. It's good to be doing one of these. Let's have a look. Anything else in here so far? Liz Golden says, who are your favourite 3 young players at Liverpool or in Europe? Let me know what that is. Is it certain Neko will stay, says Dane Knoll. I wanted to talk about Neko actually because, obviously we know, and this is another news story that we've got to talk about. Liverpool beat Aston Villa on Sunday 4-1 in a behind-the-scenes pre-season friendly. Obviously, it's not pre-season; it was just a friendly. But yeah, what I can work out from it is obviously this player is still unfit, needing minutes, need to be at the top of the game, because it's going to be a season where we can't afford to drop points. You've got Chelsea who are going to be right up there. United look good at the weekend, so yeah, it's important to get players up to speed and make sure they're fully fit for the season ahead. And Neco was on the score sheet in that 4-1 win, and he posted his goal on Instagram. If you've not seen it yet, go on Neco Williams' Instagram. It's on his story, and my God, it's a good goal. First of all, he hits the post with a good strike, and then the way he turns the defender to finish it was just outstanding. And yeah, for me, I've always rated Williams. What do I think he needs? He needs more game time. When I saw the rumours linking him away at the start of the summer, I did think, well, hopefully it's a loan transfer, but it said at the time that Liverpool wanted to cash in on him, which seemed to make some sort of sense in the fact that we seem to need to sell to buy. And for me, I think he's a top player, but I think he needs more minutes. And I think he is a great understudy to Trent Alexander-Arnold. I think he would be a first-team player for a team who are probably bottom half in the Premier League. I think he is that good. But I think he's just unfortunate that he has to play understudy to the best right-back in the Premier League and the best right-back in Europe right now. So he hardly gets any game time, and I can understand why he may want to move on, because he's probably in a position where he knows he could be getting regular game time in the Premier League at a club like Southampton, for example. So yeah, but from what I've heard, he will be staying this summer. Whether that means he'll be going in January or next summer, we'll have to wait and see. But that's what I've heard. Let's have a look. Anything else? The price tag LFC want for Nico is around 10 million, apparently. Yeah, that sounds about right. But it doesn't seem like it will happen this summer. I think I saw on The Athletic the other day saying that he's now not expected to leave this summer. Let's have a look. Any more comments on anything that we've spoken about so far? Jaden says, is Craig doing a late night agenda? Unfortunately not. This is the late night agenda for today. I will also be back tomorrow and possibly Wednesday. Craig is taking a few days off and then he'll be back. Will Shakiri and Arigi leave Liverpool? Jake Menz has given us this comment. For me, I think Shakiri will certainly leave. I think he will be sold this summer. Will Arigi leave? I think he will be loaned out. That is my prediction. I think we will loan him late on in the window. I think there'll be a club in the Premier League that haven't started the season too well, are in desperate need of a striker, and think, Origi on loan's worth a punt. And looking at what happened in pre-season, and that last pre-season game in particular, the last two when we played Sunday, Monday, Arigi obviously didn't start either of those games. He had a full pre-season and he didn't start because 16-year-old Cade Gordon started ahead of him. I also think it's a big talking point, the fact that Cade Gordon missed the academy games at the weekend to play in that behind the scenes friendly against Aston Villa. I think that shows that he is going to be a first team player for Liverpool this season. That confirms it for me. And though we'll probably see him play in the under 23s at times still for game time, I think he'll be one of those players that travels as like the extra men in the squad, or gets a place on the bench when we have injuries. Obviously, we know that the subs bench is larger still this season due to the impact that the coronavirus had on these players, and therefore, I think Cade Gordon will be in and around the match day squads a lot, to be honest with you. Let's have a look. Anything else? Bonkers LFC says just loan Nico. I agree. Doherty07 says, was there a game behind closed doors? Yes, there was, against Aston Villa. We won 4-1. Goal scorers were Origi, Nico Williams, Cade Gordon, and who else was on the score sheet? I'll get that for you. But yeah, it was definitely them three, maybe one of them. No, I'm sure it was four separate scorers. Let me have a look behind closed doors. If anyone can tell me, that might be helpful. But yeah, it was. Oh, Curtis Jones. Curtis Jones scored. Obviously, he missed the game. He wasn't in the squad for the weekend due to the concussion injury that he picked up on last Monday against Osasuna. But yeah, thank you all for that. I completely slipped my mind. It was played on Sunday. I believe Villa didn't put their strongest team out as well because obviously they played on Saturday. But it was obviously an idea put together by both sides who wanted to give minutes to players that didn't get to play in the first game of the season. Babosh Addo says, is there any footage of today's match against Villa? It was yesterday, mate, and there is only footage of Nico Williams' goal from what I've seen. It's on his Twitter. It's also on his Instagram story, so make sure you go and check that out. Any more comments here? Bongin Kosi says, great news that we have secured Henderson. Sakina Hussein says, will we sign anyone, Jack? I think we'll have at least one incoming, possibly two. Yeah, that's what I think. Inglesey 001 says, Jack, what's your opinion on FSG? What is my opinion on FSG? I think they run the club in an incredibly sustainable manner. I think it's the right way to run the football club. Do I think they make mistakes? Yes. Do I think that in the modern game, seeing what happens elsewhere in football, it can be incredibly frustrating with the level we're at? Yes. Do I think they back Jurgen Klopp enough? Absolutely not. Do I think we're in danger of falling behind with them continuing as our owners? Yes. Why is that? And I'll explain. It's because I think football this year, we've seen in 2020 and 2021 just how money-orientated football is. Now, for everyone that goes, well, if you didn't know that already, you were stupid. I did know that. I'm not fucking stupid. But at the end of the day, we've seen with the Super League and we've seen with the money that's been spent by clubs this transfer window, with Chelsea spending 100 million on Lukaku, City spending 100 million on Grealish, United spending over 100 million on combined on Varane and Sancho. We've seen with how these clubs around us are going to keep spending money, and if we're not going to do that, we are going to fall behind, because yes, we are unsustainably. Yes, we constantly find bargains, and yes, Klopp is very good at nurturing talent, but Klopp isn't going to be at Liverpool forever. And though I hope we get a perfect replacement for him when he does officially decide to leave, there's a risk that we won't. And investment is incredibly important season upon season upon season. And with the financial capabilities of Chelsea and City, they're going to keep splashing the cash. United, the Glazers were under pressure this summer. What did they do? They go and splash the cash. And I'm not saying that's necessarily the right way, which is why I say they run the club incredibly sustainably. Because do I want my football club ran like City and Chelsea? Of course I don't. That's the wrong way to run a football club. But somewhere in between would be perfect, I think, where there's a bit more investment, but they're not being stupid. They're not throwing cash everywhere. But I think we needed two more players this window. I do. I think when you're Liverpool Football Club, you shouldn't necessarily be needing to sell to buy. But I know this window is different because I know we were forced to, because we had too many non-homegrown players. I understand that, but it can be frustrating, let's be honest. Stuff like the Super League stuff, that's incredibly frustrating from FSG. Things like trying to trademark the word Liverpool. Why? The furloughing staff. It's good that they're able to rectify their mistakes, but these mistakes happen too often, and it can be very frustrating. But yes, I wouldn't want my football club ran like City or Chelsea or anyone. That would be massively hypocritical. So yeah, I think they do a good job, but at times they can be incredibly frustrating. It's as simple as that. Bilal clearly doesn't agree with me. He simply says FSG out. Well in our bed. Ghost Wolf says, are we getting Doku? Are we getting Doku? I don't know, mate. You'll have to ask someone else. Would you take Pep Linders after Klopp leaves? I think this is a really, really interesting subject. I would, yeah, I absolutely would. There's a lack of management experience for Pep Linders. I think he's got an incredible footballing brain. And for me, it would be similar to when Shanks left and left it to Paisley, and that's how I think it would be. So, yeah, I would take Pep Linders. Obviously, the go-to would probably be Steven Gerrard. I take him as well, but I think he needs. I would like to see him have a bit of Premier League experience before he comes to Liverpool, because we saw what happened with Lampard at Chelsea. So though I think Gerrard's a better manager than Lampard, we're going to have to wait. We're going to have to wait and see. I think he does need a bit more experience before he jumps into Liverpool. What on earth? What on earth is this? What is this? No. What if Naby and Ox get injured 5 games into the season? We need to sign to expand the team. Yeah, there's loads of what ifs, isn't there? I do agree, because this is realistically Vernon. This is realistic Vernon. We know that they're both made out of crackers. But I think for me, we've got to. We have to sign someone realistically, don't we? I don't think we will sign a midfielder. I can only see us signing a forward player. But for me, yeah, it would be ideal, because you can't guarantee that Naby and Ox are going to be fit. Let's have a look. Craig got a name of a signing we might get. Do you know the name? Well, I don't know if it's the same person, but I know from our group chat that I told Craig the other day a bit of intel that I had on a player that has been linked with Liverpool today, but he is close to, if not already, signed a new contract. So I'm not going to say the name. But I'm going to give you some clues. He's been linked with Liverpool in the past week. He's already a Premier League player, and he's close to signing a new contract. There you go. That's all I'm saying. Let's have a look at anyone else. Sakina Hussein says scores prediction for Burnley, mate, 6-0. Yulia says Tsimikas played well against Norwich. Yeah. It was interesting. The way I described it was that he played like a child with ADHD. That's what he did. Where for the first 60 minutes he was all over the place, absolutely wild, and then he just completely lost his head and started, losing his way a bit. But yeah, for the first 60 minutes, for the first half, I can't fault him. He ran up and down. Going forwards, he was really good. But then defensively, he was out of position quite a lot. And yeah, I think he was all right. It was good for a first Premier League start. It reminded me of Alberto Moreno at times. But do I think it was an outstanding performance? Of course not. Do I think it was a good performance? Yeah, it probably was. Let's have a look. I can confirm it's not Todd Cantwell. Anything else? Link03 says news around transfers has gone pretty quiet, to be honest. Also, hijack. That's how Liverpool like it. We like it to be that it is not that it's quiet. Liverpool don't like their business all over the place. We don't like people to know what we're doing in the transfer window. We do our things quietly. We get shit done, and then we announce it. It's as simple as that. Tom Presley says it's Harvey Barnes. Is it? Interesting. LFC 4L agrees with you. Interesting. I've seen a few as well suggesting it's Bowen. Interesting. I'm not confirming, by the way, but yeah, we'll see in the coming days. But here we go. Volume DC says, "Hey Jack, is it an attacker? Can you tell us?" I'd just like to say I am not an ITK. I do not know for sure, but the murmurs I've heard is that we are interested in a Premier League attacker. And the name of the guy, he's about to sign a new contract. That's all I've heard, and I've shared that with Craig. And yeah, but I don't know for sure. It's just things I've heard of different people. You only have to look on Twitter as well. But yeah, we'll see. what has happened with the Saul links? I don't know. Gareth Baird says it's Kane. Interesting. Loads of guesses for this. I'm just going to say it, but it's Harvey Barnes. From what I've heard, but as I say, he's about to sign a new contract with Leicester, so I doubt that's going to happen this window. But there's no doubt that we are interested in Harvey Barnes. It's as simple as that, and it's easy to see why. He's a player that would perfectly fit the mold of Liverpool players. And he's very young. He's got Premier League experience. He's a very, very good attacker. But as I say, it's unlikely to happen now because he's going to sign a new deal. Let's have a look. Harvey Elliott to start against Burnley, please, says Ranveer. Interesting shout. Throwing a kid in against Burnley isn't necessarily a great idea. We know they're tough tackling. It may not be a great idea. However, I would love to see Elliott start. I'd have loved to see him start against Norwich. Very, very good young talent. And he's earned it, hasn't he, with his pre-season performances? So yeah, I'd be happy with that. But also, I do think Thiago and Henderson will come back into the fray and definitely be in the squad for then. So we'll see. Vernon DeCoca says Harvey Barnes will cost too much. Craig also says Leicester will ask a pretty penny. I agree. You look at Maguire. What they got for him. You look at what they were asking for Maddison reportedly. You look at what they got for Mahrez and Kante when they left. They will demand whopper fees. They will. And that's why I don't think Harvey Barnes will happen. But I was just saying we were interested in him from what I have heard. And yeah, I don't think realistically we'll get Harvey Barnes. I don't. If you ask me who I think we'll get, if we get any attacker, I think it'll be Jeremy Doku. But I think we're interested in him. Most likely signing, I would probably also say is Doku. We know that we've been interested in him for a while. There's been numerous reports on that. The fact that we showed him rounds everywhere when he was 15, stuff like that. There's also reports that it'll be done next summer. But yeah, it could be anyone. Jared Bowen, I think that one genuinely has legs as well. I think he isn't anywhere near the player Jota is. But I think the signing will be similar to Jota in the fact that everyone's like, it's just a mess signing. But then he comes in and does better than people think. Because I think he's a very good player. I think he will really thrive under Jurgen Klopp. And for me, Bowen would be a better signing than the majority of people think. Stephen O'Connor says, Jack, would you say Vlahovic interest is gone now? Vlahovic is a player that I would like. I think he is the sort of player that we need this summer. I think a typical number 9 is someone who we should be looking to bring in. Links have gone quiet. Were we ever interested? We will never know. Do I think that he will probably end up going to Spurs as a Harry Kane replacement if they lose him to City? Probably. There we go. People asking why MBAPPE is in the news. It is because, why MBAPPE is in the thumbnail. It is because there is news on MBAPPE, as I read earlier. If you're only just joining us, it is from Anfield Agenda, but the original source is a French journalist. Let me just get it up on my phone. French journalist Alexis Bernard of LE10, which is a French company, of course. Alexis Bernard himself is a Portuguese journalist, but he can also speak French and English. And he has said that Liverpool are continuing to monitor Mbappe's situation, and Klopp has called both the player and his father personally, and there's a great relationship between Klopp and Mbappe. So as I said before, there's two possibilities. It's true, and we're on the train, choo-choo, or it's false, it's bollocks, and it's just people jumping at things because Messi has gone to PSG, of course. They're probably going to offload players. Mbappe's got a year left. He said he plays with us on FIFA. So, to some people, it's a done deal. But anyway, we move. Anywhere else? FSG deserves praise for sorting out contracts, says Jayden Landry, 2007. Yes, but the same can't be said about Gini Wijnaldum, can it? There's also news that I've seen in the past of James Pearce saying that only 2 of the front 3 will be offered new contracts. So, yeah. Yeah, I think that's annoying because for me, I think all 3 should get new contracts. But you expect it to be Salah and Mane, doesn't it? But then you have to fill for Firmino, and is there anyone that can replace what Firmino has to do in this side? And he's a go-to man for Jurgen Klopp, isn't he? So, yeah, very interesting that. Let's have a look. Bonkers LFC says, Jack, I'd rather get Jimenez. That's an interesting one because I really, really rate Raul Jimenez. I think he would cost a lot of money from Wolves. I think as well, it'll be interesting to see the form he comes back in after that head injury. Let's have a look. Vernon says, Jack Bowen impressed me. I can see why Klopp likes him. Yep, good player. And as I say, I guarantee he will thrive under Jurgen Klopp. Neto would be better, says RSH14. Probably. Better than Barnes, are you saying? Yeah, probably. But I think both would cost an arm and a leg, and we probably wouldn't get either. Quinch says, I think Mane might leave next year. Interesting. I don't think he does. I think Mane stays. I think he gets offered a new contract as well. But I think the interesting thing is if we bring Doku in, I think he is very similar to Sadio Mane. And I think he would be a very good long-term Sadio Mane replacement. And I think the idea will be to learn off Sadio Mane for the next couple of years. And then potentially Sadio Mane will move on. But next year, I think, is too soon. Josh Crouch says, I might be the only one who likes Adama. It's an interesting one, Adama Traore, isn't he? He's an absolute tank. He's pacey. He causes defenders all kinds of problems when he's lubed up. But he's shit in front of goal. And, he it's an interesting one. You're going to pay a ridiculous amount of money for someone who had one season where he was all right in front of goal. And I mean all right. The rest of the time, he's been absolutely diabolical in front of goal. His finishing's been awful. I don't know if you saw the one at the weekend where he really should score, but it happens with Adama time and time again. Kind of like Sadio Mane when he first came to Liverpool, but a lot, not as good. It's as simple as that. But when Mane first came to Liverpool and there was times where his finishing would just completely frustrate you, that's kind of what it's like. But Adama Traore is obviously worse. But there you go. Burnley have apparently put in a £12 million bid according to Scary Ninja 7. I've not seen that anywhere, mate. But I trust Scary Ninja 7. So there you go. Extreme Bastard says St. Maximan would be the perfect fit for that Klopp style. I agree. But I'm not sure about his attitude. I think there's been some problems with Steve Bruce in the past, has there? I mean, I'd probably have a problem with Steve Bruce, to be honest with you. But yeah, it may be an issue. It may be something that puts Klopp off. We've seen Klopp's comments when he first met Sadio Mane, so I'm not sure what he'd think of that Gucci headband that St. Maximan rocks. But yeah, I really rate St. Maximan. He's a player that gets you on the edge of your seat, isn't he? Let's have a look. Shanzo the man says we should go after McNeil from Burnley. Interesting shout. I think he's more of a Everton sort of signing than us. And that's one that I can really see happen, the way that they were just going full cross and try and put it on the head of Dominic Calvert-Lewin at the weekend. Let's have a look. Anyone else? Urkash says, I think Sarr will replace Mane in a few years. Sarr's an interesting one because we know Liverpool have had interest in Sarr in the past as well, haven't we? However, obviously we also know that Watford kept hold of him when they went down. He's playing for Watford this season. He played really well against Villa at the weekend. I think he was man of the match in that game, scored as well. And maybe if Watford go down, that is one that really could have legs for next season because, we know we're interested. We know he's a good talent. He caused us loads of problems, not last season, but the season before at Vicarage Road when we lost 3-0. And yeah, he's another player that would be very, very good under Jurgen Klopp. Anything else? Loads of people asking about Saul as if I'm his best mate. And no, I don't have a clue, mate. I have no idea on it whatsoever. However, He is a player that I think would bring us something different. I think he'd be a decent signing for us. But the last I heard on Saul is probably the last you heard, that we had talks with him. He was demanding too much of a wage, so he pulled out. That was why. Anything else? Lots of people obviously paying their respects to Gerd Müller, who is an absolute legend of the game. He passed away, unfortunately, yesterday. RIP to Gerd, and obviously respect to all of his family. But yeah, what a legend of the game, a proper top player, and he will be missed. Are we back in the ECA, Jack? What is the ECA? Is that? Yeah, I think I know what you mean. I think that's the Super League stuff, isn't it? Where basically, I think there's been a lot of confusion on this today. I don't know whether it's me reading it wrong or a lot of people that I've seen in the comments, but a lot of people saying Super League news, Super League news. As far as I'm concerned, 9 teams have rejoined the European Committee that they withdrew from to join the Super League. Therefore, the Super League news is the news that we had at the start of the year when everyone pulled out, which was that there will be no Super League for now. So for me, there isn't really Super League news. It's just that the clubs that stupidly left the European Committee have now rejoined, and that was expected, no? So yeah, for me, it isn't really news. Let's have a look. Vernon says, Jack, you're doing a really good solo job. Thank you, mate. Really appreciate that. Rudranil says, how about signing Dan Chuma? I think it would be a decent signing. His lack of Premier League experience wouldn't be great. He wouldn't be a player that would get much game time straight away. Especially, it'll be a worry for me when Salah and Mane go to the African Cup of Nations and miss a couple of games, and we're throwing in Danjuma for his first few Premier League starts or whatever. That would be a worry for me. But I think we can do better, but I think it wouldn't be a bad signing. But is that we'd just take any forward option at the moment? Possibly. Let's have a look. Would you go back in for Brewster? No, not at the moment. I think he's a good talent. I think he's still got stuff to show at Sheffield United. Let's have a look. Anybody else? Do you think Matip will start again against Burnley? Firstly, I think the team choice against Burnley is going to be incredibly interesting. Will Van Dijk start again? He played 90 minutes. Will Klopp rest him and prepare him for Chelsea? Will Klopp make a few changes in preparation for Chelsea? Will he go strong again? Will we see Thiago and Henderson come back in, or will they be rested again with Chelsea in mind as they'll be wanting to start against them? Will we see one start and one be rested for Chelsea? Matip, though, I expect to start, yes. So I've answered that in a really, really stupid way. But yeah, I expect Matip to start, and I think he earned it with his performance against Norwich at the weekend. Why do I say that? Because I think with the pace of the Chelsea back line, we will see. With the pace of Chelsea's attack, we will probably see Van Dijk and Gomez, or Van Dijk and Konate start against Chelsea, in my opinion. But yeah, I think Matip will probably start against Burnley. Let's have a look. Anyone else? Thomas Raymond says, great show standing in today, Jack. Thank you very much, Thomas. Really appreciate that, mate. Vernon says, Jack, are you a Sacco fan? I saw his shirt in a frame. I'll be honest, I was at the Liverpool-Dortmund game when he was an absolute beast. And, from then on for about a few months, what year was the Dortmund game in? 2015? I think I was around 16 at the time. Absolute beast. He became, one of my favourite players then for a couple of months. I then decided that the season after I would get him on the back of my shirt, and then he changed his squad number, and it was offered by the club that they would either give you his new shirt for free or he'd sign the ones with the numbers on. And I decided to get it signed and framed because I knew the chances were he would probably never play for Liverpool again, and I believe he didn't. So good decision from me. Donald says, would you sign Max Aarons? Would I sign Max Aarons? What is the point? We have the best right back in world football, and I think he would demand I think Norwich would demand a decent sum of money, and I think his wages will be relatively high. And I think it would be detrimental to his progress. And I think there'll be a lot of players in for him. Liz Golden says, great stream, Jack. Thank you very much, Liz. Top 3 youngsters at Liverpool Football Club. Well, I can approach this in the way that is the top 3 youngsters at Liverpool, which I think are pretty obvious. Or I can do this and pick ones that some people may not have got to watch as much as me. For example, before this pre-season, I would have 100% said to you lot that you need to watch Cade Gordon. But there you go. Owen Beck is another brilliant young talent. Oki Kanania, I think, is a decent little player. He, of course, was the ball boy that supplied Trent with obviously corner taken quickly. Then who else would I say? I would probably pick out. Well, there's Mateusz Musialowski, but that's pretty obvious to everyone. I think Fraundorf, who signed for Liverpool at the start of last season, I think he's a good youngster. Leighton Stewart is another obvious one. Obviously, there's Harvey Elliott. I like Connor Bradley as well. There's so many, I can't pick 3. But yeah, there's some very, very good young talent at Liverpool. There really, really is. And of course, Leighton Clarkson was up there too, but he's one that many know of. But I'm trying to inform you of players that you won't have heard of. That's why I'm struggling with the 3. In terms of picking top 3, I think it's very obvious when it's for youngsters, because I think everyone hears of the top 3, and therefore it's very hard. So I'm trying to refrain from picking people that people won't really know. The one that's probably the top one that no one's seen near the first team yet is Mateusz Musialowski, but he will be near the first team very, very soon. So, there's a lot of people that already know about Mateusz Musialowski. James Balagizi, I didn't mention him before, but he is outstanding. He would definitely be up there as well. He is very, very good. We signed him from Man City when he was very young. And he before last season, he had a couple of injury problems here and there. He never got in a rhythm, never got in a flow, and he always looked good in glimpses. But there was never like anything to say, yeah, he's going to be a really good player. But this last season, he was phenomenal all season, and he's going to be a really, really good talent. Let's have a look. Delwyn Jones asks what happened with my work at Redmen TV. I was just on there with a placement for university. And I've left university now, so yeah, I carried on doing the academy stuff, but I like doing this for obviously Craig and Connor. I love working for Anfield Agenda. That's not that I didn't enjoy working for Redmen. That was great too, but I'm doing this now. James McHale has taken over with the academy stuff, and yeah, I just with job and other stuff, and yeah, I just don't really have time to do the academy stuff because that requires. I was running a channel and I couldn't do that on top of this. So yeah, I decided to do this. And yeah, that was my decision. Let's have a look. Anything else? Woodburn getting a lot of time on the pitch in pre-season and was on the bench against Norwich, perhaps a resurgence. It's an interesting one because his contract's up next year, and I don't know whether it's just Liverpool trying to get a youngster who might be good in the future on a new contract and not wanting to lose him, so flirting with him and giving him a bit more first team experience, or whether it's actually genuine. And I think Klopp does see a player there. I think Woodburn frustrates me because I know there's a player there, but on his loan moves, he's frustrated himself with several different injuries. And yeah, he's just not really got going. What do I think is probably best for him? I do think it's best to move on. Do I think Arigi will eventually leave or stick around? I think he will leave. Did I study journalism? Yes, I did. Neto of Wolves, any news? No, not that I've heard of. Umski thinks he's absolutely hilarious, but you're not. Starting XI against Burnley. Hopefully later in the week, me, Steve, and Craig will be back with a podcast, or what's it called now? I've forgotten what Craig found a brilliant new name the other day. but I've completely forgotten what it was. What it was. Cop the week. That's what it was. It was a play on words from mock the week. So hopefully, yeah, me, Steve, and Craig will be back with a cop the week later on in the week, and that's when I'll do my starting 11 predictions for the Burnley game. Northern Hadiz says, just started journalism school today. Actually, any tips? The best thing I'll do, and I'm going to go soon, the best thing I can say is experience is the most important thing. It's great to keep up with your studies and stuff like that. The most important thing to do is just go to your local games, write a match report, put it on Twitter, do stuff like that. Go out there, get your experience, practice, because stuff like schools, unis, they can't teach you for stuff. So the best thing I did was start going to the academy games. The best thing I did was get that placement with Redmen, because that got my foot in the door. And now, obviously, I'm doing stuff like this for Craig and Connor on a regular basis, and it's absolutely brilliant, and I can't ask for anything more. So, yeah, that's the best thing I can do. Just go to local games, write match reports, write things, constantly, and then that's the best advice I can give you, mate. Archie Bowden says, do you think Bobby will be better this season? I absolutely do. And let's have a look if there's any good comments before I leave. I'm going to end with this one. A bit of positivity from the King of Comebacks, who says, how many points do you think we will win the league by this season? And I will say 10. We'll win the league by 10. No, I think it'll be a close season. I think we'll win the league by 2 points. 2 points, I'm saying. Leave it down to the final day. We'll win it on the final day. So there we go. Leaving it there. Thank you very, very much for joining me for this one, ladies and gents. I will be back tomorrow, slightly earlier tomorrow. It'll be around 3-4 o'clock. Connor will tweet on the Anfield Agenda account when it'll be. I think it'll be 4 o'clock tomorrow. Yep, I'll be back then, and then I'll be here on Wednesday probably at 8:45 then. So thank you very much for joining me. Remember to spam that like button if you enjoyed what you see. Thank you for all the well wishes about Craig too. That is really appreciated here on Anfield Agenda. And as I say, don't stress about him. He is absolutely fine. He just needs a break because he's a hardworking man and he doesn't stop. So there we go. Thank you very, very much to all of you for joining me, and we shall see you very soon. Ta-ra.